Hello everyone, I'm Yang from Tsinghua University. It's unfortunate that none of the authors can make it to present their work on site, so I will present this paper on their behalf. Since I'm not the expert in this research area, I will use the notes to present the work in case of error messages. The paper is titled with time-varying bottlenecks in LEO satellite networks, identification, exploits, and countermeasures. The authors are all from Tsinghua University. Here are some backgrounds. Low Earth orbit satellite networks are under heavy development. Corporations are constructing their satellite constellations to provide global internet services. For example, Starlink has built more than 700 satellites and constructed more than 100 ground stations. The high-speed ground satellite links and inter-satellite links provide fast and high throughput network quality. Equipped with high-speed links, the satellites could get connected to ground facilities. One of the characteristics is the spatial dispersion of ground satellite connectivity. The ground stations and user terminals are dispersed unevenly. It also exerts a remarkable temporal dynamism. A ground satellite link lasts only a few minutes. Meanwhile, security threats continue to emerge, such as real-world DDoS attacks on satellites and fault injections on user terminals. Recent research work has studied link flooding attacks, LFA, towards ISLs and GSLs. However, there is currently no LFA analyzer that properly adapts to the latest network structure. Previous studies do not show the methods to quantify the risk towards legal traffic and flooded GSLs. So how can we build such an LFA risk analyzer? To analyze the consequences, we firstly observe that bottleneck links exist, which transmits more traffic from more regions. Then we propose Skyfall to analyze potential risks of link flooding attacks. Using Skyfall, we can validate the importance of the bottleneck links and assess the risks on legal traffic. We use the following three metrics to characterize the bottleneck links. The first is the uneven ground station service time. It refers to the total accumulated time with all connectable satellites throughout the day. We can see from the figure that their service time differs significantly. Ground stations in mid to high latitude regions have longer service time. Therefore, they are more likely to be flooded for a long duration. The second one is ground station occurrence. A higher occurrence indicates that it transfers data traffic from more regions and a greater chance as an attack target. Apart from a spatial disparity in GS occurrences, the occurrence of ground stations varies over time because of the frequent handovers. And the last one is GSL throughput. For example, this figure shows the number of GSLs and the average GSL throughput at the ground stations located in Japan. We can find that the number of GSLs alters within tens of seconds. The average throughput of the connected GSLs also exhibits temporal fluctuation. To identify the bottleneck links, we use the three characteristics above with a case study. Firstly, we are able to identify some vital ground stations for each time slot based on the ground station service time and occurrence. In each time slot, we identify the top-ranked ground stations in both two metrics. Then we prioritize their connected GSLs based on the link throughputs and identify those with throughputs exceeding half of the GSL capacity. We repeat the steps for each time slot and define bottleneck links as a union of multiple time slots. The figure on the left shows the resulting vital ground stations at time slot T1 and T2 with an interval of 120 seconds. However, there is a distinction between the two time slots, which confirms the time-varying dynamism. If we zoom in on the part in Eastern Europe, we can see that the bottleneck links are now static and their throughputs changes over time. Besides, the number of the GSL fluctuates at the two time slots. 44 and 42 links are identified as bottleneck links at T1 and T2 respectively, in which only 34 of them kept connected during the 120-second interval. To conclude, we define bottleneck links as a time-varying target over a period. These findings emphasize not only the importance of the existence of bottleneck links, but also the dynamic nature of the GSLs. Given the presence of bottleneck links, we propose Skyfall, an LFA risk analyzer. Skyfall has two main stages. In the first stage, the Skyfall acquires essential data about the target network. Skyfall then assesses the negative impacts by the given compromised user terminals in certain regions in the second stage. First, in the data gathering stage, Skyfall uses public data to collect topology and routing information. Then Skyfall employs a throughput estimation method to estimate the legal traffic of a GSL by using compromised user terminals to transmitting UDP packets until the link is congested. In the second analyze stage, Skyfall will first take a risk analyze. After identifying the bottleneck links, Skyfall will generate malicious traffic with compromised user terminals and infer the routes of malicious traffic. For instance, in a topology like this figure, where traffic typically flows to the nearest ground station, the malicious traffic from compromised user terminals connected to the satellite in satellite 1 will be transmitted by the downlink of GSL 1. Based on these results, we can determine if a GSL is experiencing congestions as well as its influences. The worst scenario could be the compromised UTs being positioned near the bottleneck links, leading to a more severe impact. Also, we are able to analyze factors that may affect the risk analysis results, such as the number of compromised UTs and their positions. To analyze these consequences, we simulate Starlink and Kuiper for evaluation. We consider two kinds of network topologies in our experiments: the grid topology, which is widely studied by previous works, and the circular topology. Then we model and generate user traffic based on the real Starlink traffic distributions in more than 50 countries provided by Cloudflare. Subsequently, we evaluate the identification of the bottleneck links and the risky impacts on traffics and GSLs. As for the bottleneck link validation results, we assume Skyfall congests the identified bottleneck links. We compare Skyfall with randomly congesting the same number of GSLs. We can find that by congesting merely 8% of the global GSLs, over 41% of the legal traffic will be congested, originating from 19% of the blocks. If we divide the ratio of congested traffic and the congested GSLs, the payoff is as high as twice. This results imply that the bottleneck links indeed yield more substantial adverse impacts and more effective choices for potential attackers. Then Skyfall uses available compromised user terminals to evaluate the impact. We compare Skyfall with Icarus. The user terminals for Skyfall are given near the bottleneck links, while those for Icarus are put in proportion to the traffic distribution of Starlink. We can find that by congesting only 8% of the GSLs on average, Skyfall successfully congests the legal traffic by 37%, while only 11% for Icarus. It shows that the terminals are able to effectively congest the bottleneck links and bring throughput reduction. The throughput change of the legal traffic is shown in this figure. Under Skyfall's scheme, the legal traffic is reduced more. It again indicates that a small number of congested GSLs brings a long-term reduced throughput impact on the legal traffic. So how can we deal with this security threat? Here we carry out two possible methods. The first one is customized traffic scheduling. A ground controller conducts real-time GSL traffic and signal satellites with too much traffic to redirect the extra traffic from the congested GSL to the closest satellite for relay. However, the computational expenses are significant to recalculate real-world topologies. Moreover, by the time the recalculation ends, the electoral topology may have already changed. Another method is ECMP to partition traffic equally over multiple ISL paths. Still, it is difficult to select a path for each runtime data stream. So the feasibility of these countermeasures still needs to be contemplated. To conclude, in this work, we introduce the definition of bottleneck links as well as the uneven distribution and time-varying characteristics. We also show how to identify them through a case study. Then we propose Skyfall to analyze the impact when compromised UTs are provided to flood the time-varying bottleneck links. Our comprehensive risk analysis results illustrate the validation of bottleneck links and the impacts of flooding them. We finally discuss the proposed possible solutions. Thanks for your listening again. As all the authors cannot make it on site, if you have any questions, you can contact them via email. Thank you.
We have a Zoom Q&A option. I've been told the mic, they can hear it. Yes. So please, if you have questions to the main author. I'll start. Hey, interesting work. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Well, we can also hear you well. One question, have you spoken to Starlink about this at all, or any of the other LEO network operators?
Actually, we have sent the emails to all of the operators, and we also discussed with some national operators in our country, and they have their mitigations actually implemented in their companies. But mostly they implemented some firewalls like blacklist or whitelist to stop some traffic from certain ports and IPs, and these are their basic mitigations.
Any other questions? Apparently no more questions, so thanks a lot for your work and also for being available for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.